Thank you for joining us on the Rose Church podcast. For more information about this podcast or other resources, please visit rosechurch.org or follow us on social media at rosechurchpdx.
Today we're starting a new series called Come Build With Us. Come build with us. And I actually had this thought as a series quite a while ago, long before we ever started talking about buying a building, which we're in process of doing. And long before that building ever came up or thought of buying a building ever came up, I had this thought about come build with us. And if you're a visitor today, I do mean this, that today is going to be, can I get a little more mic in my speaker and then in the house? Thank you, Seth. Today's going to be a little different, especially if you're a visitor today, because usually I'm a leader, a visionary, a preacher. I'm trying to get our church to become like Jesus and love people and whatever it might be. For the next 5 weeks, I truly mean, not to sound over-spiritual, but I truly felt a challenge, a conviction, if you will, from the Spirit of Jesus to be a shepherd for 5 weeks. And that's a different role. Being a visionary, a preacher, a leader is one role, but being a shepherd is a different role. And one thing about shepherds is they have to know when to feed their sheep and what season it is for them. And so I really felt very specific for this series of our church. So it's going to be a little different, unlike anything we've ever done. So if you're new today, this is a great window into our church. And so we're going to start a series called Come Build With Us that will end on Vision Sunday. Here we go. We're going to the Bible today. We're going to read a few verses from the book of Nehemiah. The book of Nehemiah. As we're going to spend a few moments there. Actually, we're going to read through chapters 1, 2, and 3. Not the entire chapters. Some of you are like, oh, this is going to be a long day. We're not going to read the entire chapters, just a little bit from each chapter, because I'm going to make some points about each chapter. And let me say this from the very beginning. The book of Nehemiah is about a man named Nehemiah. It's his memoirs. It's his personal diary. It's him writing. This is an interesting letter, because he's not writing to someone. He's writing to himself. It's his notebook. It's his memoir. It's his personal journal. And Nehemiah is the cupbearer to the king. King Artaxerxes, we'll read it about a little bit, and he's the king, and he's his cupbearer, meaning like he's the right hand of the king. He tastes all the wine to make sure no one's trying to poison him. He eats the food before he gets it. Like he is the man outside of the king. He's his arm bearer. He's his cupbearer. And the whole book of Nehemiah is about a man named Nehemiah who wants to come rebuild a wall, rebuild the city of Jerusalem. Babylon took over Jerusalem a long time prior, and about 70 years earlier than what we're reading in Nehemiah, about 70 years earlier, some Jews and some people are on their way back to Jerusalem. They're rebuilding the temple, and if you go to your history, the whole temple was destroyed, the city was destroyed when the Syrian army came and destroyed all of Jerusalem and took them in captivity. Now they're on the way back to Jerusalem. Nehemiah hears that the walls are broken down and he wants to rebuild them. I made a joke in the 9:30 service, but I do want you to know I'm going to make statements about a wall, and I am making zero political statements about a different wall. Just throwing it out there, okay? I'm not having any subjective or like, I was making comments like about a wall or about like protection. I'm not making any other statement outside of I am making a comparison that the same way that Nehemiah was building something, we are building something. Just throwing it out there, okay? I don't want some email from you like, you really preach about building a wall? I'm not, okay? I'm preaching about building a church, okay? Different. And if you do want to email me, my email is lauren@rosechurch.org. I'd love to respond to you. Here we go, Nehemiah 1. You guys ready? Nehemiah 1, read a few verses there. We'll jump to 2, jump to 3. Nehemiah 1. These are the memoirs of Nehemiah, son of Hekeliah. In late autumn, in the month of Kislev, in the 20th year of the reign in the king Artaxerxes and his reign, I was in the fortress of Susa. Hananiah, one of my brothers, came to visit me with some other men who had just arrived from Judah. I asked about the Jews who had returned there back from captivity back to Jerusalem. He's asking about how things are going in Jerusalem. Okay, people are coming back. I've heard Jews are on the way back. How's it going? What's going on? They said to me, things are not well for those who return to the province of Judah. They are in great trouble and disgrace. The wall of Jerusalem has been torn down, and the gates have been destroyed by fire. When I heard this, I sat down and wept. In fact, for days I mourned. Fasted, prayed to the God of heaven. There's a really long prayer that he prays to God. We won't go through that today. Let's jump to chapter 2. Early the following spring, the month of Nisan, which is about 4 months after the month of Kislev, about 4 months later, during the 20th year of King Artaxerxes' reign, I was serving the king his wine, and I had never before appeared sad in his presence. So the king asked me, "Why are you looking so sad? You don't look sick to me. You must be deeply troubled." And I was terrified because he could die for having a sad countenance in the king's presence. But I replied, "Long live the king. But how can I not be sad? For the city where my ancestors are buried is in ruins, and the gates have been destroyed by fire." And the king asked, well, look at this. This is amazing. The king asked him, "Well, how can I help you?" And I replied, "If it pleases the king," and I didn't get to it at 9:30, I'm going to get to it today. "If you are pleased with me," tells the king, "if you're pleased with me, your servant, send me to Judah to rebuild the city where my ancestors are buried." And the king, with the queen sitting by him, asked, "Well, how long will be gone, and when will you return?" And after I told him how long I'll be gone, the king agreed to my request. And I also said to the king, "If it pleases the king, let me have letters addressed to the governors of the province of the west of the Euphrates River, instructing them to let me travel safely through their territories on my way back." So when you have favor with the king, you just don't get permission, you get favor. Put a pin there, we'll be back. Go to Nehemiah 3. We'll go to Nehemiah 3. I mean, just 5 verses. It's too hard. All these names are very, very hard to read, so I apologize. Okay, I don't speak Hebrew. Then Eliashib, the high priest, and the other priests started to rebuild the sheep gate, a very specific gate, the sheep gate. They dedicated it and set up its doors, building the wall as far as the Tower of the 100, which they dedicated, and the Tower of Hananel, and people from the town from Jericho, and she gets this phrase, worked next to them. And beyond them was Sakur, son of Amara. The fish gate was built by the sons of Hassanah. They laid the beams and set up its doors and installed its bolts and bars. Last verse, we're going to pray. Merimoth. I mean, I'm so glad we've gotten beyond these names. Could you imagine, like kindergarten? Like, what's your name? Merimoth. Where's your mom? We need to talk to your mom for a little bit. Merimoth, son of Uriah, and the grandson of Hakaz, repaired the next section of the wall. We'll end here. Beside him were the entire chapter 3. We're going to read the whole thing because it keeps going like this for 50 verses or whatever. It's just, I want you to hear the phrase, next to. The son of so-and-so was next to. And then it starts going to, they were shoulder by shoulder. My title for our talk today is this, something worth building. Something worth building. Let's pray today as we dive into Nehemiah. This new series. Jesus, we thank you for your word. We thank you that you're going to be here. Speak to us. Reveal yourself to us, God, as we start this new series. And Jesus, we do pray in the beginning of this new NFL season that Tom Brady would lose every single game of this season. God, we know you are faithful, you are true, and you are against number 12. In Jesus' name. Amen. If you're a Patriots fan, this is not a safe room. Just throwing it out there. Just kidding. God loves all people. Not me. And he's going to win again. I just hate it. He's just going to do it. it's just discouraging me. Okay, side note, more about Jesus. My wife and I, we have 2 kids, and this last week, our 6-year-old, he'll be 6 in a couple weeks here, so our 6-year-old son just started like full-time school, like Monday through Friday, 7:50, 8 o'clock to 2:30, Monday through Friday. Like he's now in this system. Like he's there. The school system, obviously. Some of you are like, what system? The school system. So every day I'm like, did anyone bully you? How's your teacher? What did you learn? Like, this whole thing. So yesterday, we're talking about school. And he loves the game War. Card game War. Loves it. And he's destroying me in this game. Like he has every ace, every king, every queen. So he wins like 9 hands in a row. And I start getting a little frustrated. I'm a super competitive person. I don't enjoy losing. If I'm going to lose, I probably won't play. Just who I'm a child. I know. But like I'm really competitive. And he starts noticing I'm getting frustrated. If this is my 6-year-old son, he goes, Dad, I want you to win some hands. Here's some aces. And gave me the aces back so I could win the next hands. I was like, buddy, they're yours. He's like, I want you to win with me too. I was like, you're not my son. I would never give people aces back. I would remind them, you lost 9 hands in a row. You ready for number 10? Like, I would never be like, you want the ball? You want to win? I'm sorry, I've won 8 in a row. It's your turn. I was like, Cruz, we don't do this. I literally go, we're Damazios. We win. And he was like, okay. And he took it back. But I'm a very competitive person with like sports. I played college basketball. I played a lot of the sports in high school. I still to this day am very competitive. Like put me at 24, like I'm still competitive. Like I get competitive about stupid stuff. But I want to be on the winning team. Segue into Nehemiah and into Jesus. Jesus is the ultimate winner. Understatement. Right? But I want to be on his team because Jesus is undefeated. We read the end of the book, we win. Spoiler, we win. Jesus is undefeated. He's never missed a shot. He's never missed a game. He's never lost. He is undefeated. And me as a competitor, I love being on the winning team. And my question is, if I want to be on Jesus' team, what is he doing? So look at Matthew 6. He kind of answers it for us. Matthew 16. Matthew 16, verse 18. He's talking to Jesus. This is Jesus, red words. And I tell you, you are Peter. And on this rock, the revelation of who Jesus is, I will build my church. If you are wondering what Jesus is doing, he's building his church. The church of Jesus is not God's plan B, plan C. It is God's plan A. It is the Titanic. It is the way that he wants to save everyone. And just at the front end of this series, I'm a church person. Yeah, but church has a lot of flaws. I know. The minute you walked in, they started. Some of you are like, this is not the church for me. This is not. No, I'm serious. I love when people are like, I just want to go to church, man. I'm like, why? Like, there's so many just hypocritical people. I'm like, yeah, dude, there's room for one more. Yeah, there is. Every family has the weird uncle. Every family has the cousins you want to see twice a year for an hour. Right? Like, welcome to a big family. Of course the church has flaws. Of course the church has weird conversations. Of course the church does things that aren't perfect because the church is people. The church isn't a building or a name or a logo or a theme or some creative thing. It's people. And just like on the onslaught or the forefront of this series, you got to understand, I'm a church person. Yeah, the church has flaws. Yeah, the church isn't always on the right side of history. But I am committed to the church. I am in this for the long haul. Why? Because Jesus is building his church. And if I want to be on the winning team, I want to do what Jesus is doing. But too many of us are dating the church, not marrying the church. We're treating the church like, I don't know, maybe. Kind of like it for now until it offends me, then I'm out. Till a series happens, I'm not in, I'll be back later. Have a weird hallway discussion, I don't know about that one. And we're merely dating the church. Many of us need to marry the church. Yeah, there's some highs and lows at the church, but it's Jesus saying, I will build my church. And this is an interesting sentence, is it not? And the gates of hell shall not prevail. Gates, what are gates? Gates are to keep things out. When we read this verse, we think hell's going to attack us and we're going to withstand. No, this is the gates. Gates aren't attacking. Gates are preventative to keep things out. So what Jesus is saying is, my church is moving forward. And when it meets the gates will not stop them. And Jesus is already saying, my church isn't a boat. My church isn't a bunker. My church is an army that must be moving forward. Hence, I'm wearing the army jacket today. Me and Zach got the Holy Spirit memo, wear the army jacket today. And he up. Sorry. I want to talk about building a church, an army of builders. An army of builders. I want to give you 3 thoughts today from Nehemiah. You ready? No one? Okay. My thought number 1. It is time to switch bags. Let me explain. It's time to switch bags. Here's Nehemiah. Let's just play with this text for a bit. Nehemiah is in the palace, chilling, doing nothing, serving the king. Men come to him. Nehemiah wasn't pursuing. They come to him and go, hey, buddy, I know you're Jewish. Your family, your ancestors, all the walls are broken down. They've been burnt with fire. They're destroyed. And the Bible says this, Nehemiah broke down and wept. The Bible says he mourned. Like sackcloth and ashes mourned. Wasn't like he had a bad day, like tweeted something. Like he's devastated. From Kislev to Nisan is 4 months. He didn't just have a moment of like, oh, it made me sad. 4 months worth. He's destroyed. He's devastated. And then he gets an opportunity from the king. He goes, what do you want to do? And he says, I want to go. Let's just pause here for a second. Anyone can have a moving. But it takes a special person to let their moving move them. We can be in these rooms and be moved, right? We're emotional people. Some of you that don't think you are. We're driven by emotion. We have emotions, whether they're really deep or really shallow. They're there, and they drive us. And you see them on like Facebook or Instagram, and you scroll. And that was sad, but you just keep scrolling. Right? You can be moved in the core of your soul from a message to worship. You can be moved, but it's a whole nother thing to let your moving move you. So this is where my mind goes, right? Like I'm a very hands-on, like visual, learner. So this is just where my mind goes with the Bible. Nehemiah is a long ways away, right? He gets the word about the walls being broken down and everything. Good to see you. Have a good day. This is my wife. Thanks for coming. See you home. I'm getting in so much trouble for that later. Can I sleep at one of your houses tonight, or? Just kidding. Back to Jesus. Come on, church. In my mind, here's Nehemiah. He hears about a scenario that moves him. And do you know what he could have did? Sat back in his palace, grabbed a popcorn bag, and was like, I wonder what's going to happen over in Jerusalem. Hey, Nehemiah, I saw you weeping for a few months. Yeah, I was moved. I'm really devastated about Jerusalem. I'm sad. I cried. I mourned. Are you going to do anything about it? I'm emotionally invested. I'm watching. What are they going to do with the wall? How are they going to get the resource? He could grab the popcorn bag or goes like this way. I wonder how Vision Sunday is going to go. Oh, I'm in this today. I wonder how the serve teams do. This popcorn's really good, by the way. I wonder how the church is doing financially. I wonder how that's going. It looks like it takes a lot to pull off a Sunday. I wonder how that goes. Man, new building. How's that going to go? He could have easily grabbed the popcorn bag, sat back, prayed, fasted, concerned himself, grabbed the popcorn bag, sat back in his palace, and goes, I wonder. But he doesn't. Instead, he grabs a tool bag. And the minute he gets an opportunity to go, he goes. Could you imagine what we could do with a church full of people that refuses to buy a popcorn bag and sit back and wonder, how's that going to go? How's that going to go? What's going to happen there? We are not a church of popcorn bag people. We're a church of tool bag people. Right about now. I don't know why I'm standing like this. It just seems fun. Right about now, what starts happening is, man, this is a great leadership talk. Man, this is good, Andrew. Challenge the leadership team. Yeah, challenge the core team. They should step up and lead more. Man, I'm glad that the team leads are stepping up and leading. And instinctively, we start thinking this is a leadership discussion. I would like to submit to you, I think if we could grab the Apostle Paul from the from the old first century, New Testament, grab a first century believer, and we give them a list of hey, these are the qualifications for our leadership team. I wonder if they'd go, that sounds like a great Christian. No, that's our leadership team. That's a first century Christian to me. I wonder if we have taken Christian attributes and made them leadership qualifications. Now it takes you to have a 4-year degree to serve on the welcome team. What are we talking about? When I read the book of Acts, the early church, over and over and over again, it said, and all of the believers gave. Wait a minute. You mean the leaders? No, the believers. You mean the leadership team? No, the church. No, the believers. I wonder if we confused leadership with Christian. This is a great leadership message. I think it's a Christian message. Could you, this popcorn's in my throat. Could you imagine if we have, let's say last weekend, which is a really bad church weekend. Nobody goes to church on Labor Day weekend. But we had over 700 people at church last weekend. Could you imagine if we had 700 people, let alone people that don't go to church every week? We probably, 900,000 people that go to our church at least every other week, once a month, somewhere. Could you imagine, just say the 700 people that were there last weekend, their perspective of church was, I'm coming to church. Ready to work. Well, am I serving today? I serve every Sunday. Not with a lanyard. To me, I can't serve every Sunday. That's not what I mean. Metaphorically, every time I walk through this door, I'm here to build. And it goes as shallow as this. What songs are we going to sing today? I don't like this song. Where is Hiob and her voice? That was better. It's too dark in here. What's with these lights? What is this, a concert? I don't know, I'm not feeling it today. This is as simple, as shallow as it gets. What is that? I got my popcorn today. I hope Andrew has one of those good messages today. This is great. I'm really down. I need a big, Andrew, hope you're on it today. Instead of, I don't care who the preacher is. I don't care who the worship is. I don't care what the song is. I don't care the list. I don't care the message. I'm here to lead. I'm here to build. I'm here to serve. God, you're going to speak to me no matter what. I don't care the message. I don't care the series. Holy Spirit, you're the ultimate preacher. You're the ultimate presence. I don't care what happens on this stage. I'm here. I refuse to be a popcorn leader or a popcorn Christian. I'm a tool bag person. I'm a leader bag. I was trying to get away from that one. That didn't sound good. Oh my God, I love church. Who says that? You know what I mean. You calm down. Could you, honestly, could you imagine what we could get done? Jesus needed 12. And one of them was a backstabber. Which is just really funny that we have like this church leadership list of who can serve and who not can serve. And Jesus lets one of the backstabbers be the first 12 disciples ever. And we're like, I don't know if you're ready. Judas was. And you're better than Judas. So let's get off that one for a bit. I'm serious. He needed 12. Could you imagine what our church could accomplish? With everyone goes, I'm not a popcorn person. I'm a leader. I'm a servant. I'm a giver. I'm a engager. You know what's amazing about a critic and a leader? They both see the same thing. But a critic goes to the computer and a leader goes to work. Critics see the same thing leaders do. They just respond to what they see differently. Anyone, it doesn't take a genius to be Nehemiah. Yeah, the walls are broken down. Someone should do something about it. Anyone can see the problem. Anyone can say what the problem is. But it takes a whole nother person to go, I'm not just going to see it. I'm going to engage myself. let's continue down this thought. You guys doing okay? Nehemiah knows that Ezra, read the book of Ezra. They're actually two books together. Nehemiah and Ezra are one book. We just have them in two, but they're one book together. Ezra and Zerubbabel have already been there for 40 years. Rebuilding the temple, slowly getting people. They've already been there doing work. Do you know what Nehemiah could have done? I really want to do it and stuff, but there's already people there. Who's there? Ezra, he'll take care of it. He's a great priest. Who else is there? Zerubbabel, he's an awesome priest. They'll take care of it. And that's what happens in church world. They'll take care of it. I want to read you this story. I don't know if you've heard it before. I think it's great. Where'd it go? Did I delete it? The devil, there it is. I was like, the devil is a liar. Here we go. This little story about 4 people named everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. There was an important job to be done, and everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody ended up doing it. Somebody got angry about it because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought that anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended up that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done. Isn't that us? They'll take care of it. They'll do it. Anybody could do it. That anybody's you. I'm already out on a limb. I'm already out here, so we might as well just keep going down this track. Let's just say, if everyone gave like you gave, would the church have resource? If everyone worshiped like you worship, would we have a worshiping church? If everyone served like you, would we have people showing up, set up, and tear down and band? If everyone encouraged and smiled like you, I'm spitting popcorn. If everyone was like you, what kind of church would we have? Well, that's for the leader. No, it's not. This is a Christian discussion. Yeah, the church is being led by the leaders. No, it's being led by you. It might be time to switch backs. Can I simply ask you today, are you a popcorn person in our church? Some of you are like, man, I'm broken. I get it. There's a season of that. You come in, you need to be fed. You need to be led. You need to be encouraged. There are seasons. Some of you are like, I'm bleeding out. I can't. Bleed out. Welcome home. I get it. I've been there. Like, I can't. I get it. But those seasons end, by the way. If you've been there for 4 years, it might be time. Could you imagine what our church could do with people grabbing that bag instead of the popcorn bag? Oh, we could change this entire city. We could change nations. We could do something because it's all the believers. All the believers gave. All the believers. It's all of us. My second point, not only do you maybe need to switch bags, but the second point, which is kind of counterproductive, but you'll get what I'm saying, it's actually safer to stay in the palace. Let's just process for a little bit. Nehemiah, he lives in a palace. He gets the king's wine, the king's food, the king's protection. He gets everything he wants. And he leaves the safety of a palace to go serve in the trenches that it could be attacked. It could be made fun of. It could not work. They could not like him. He risked the palace for a pit. Yes, it is safer for you not to serve. It's safer for you not to be this invested. Because when you start becoming this invested, you're now an easy target for lazy people. You're an easy target for the undisciplined. When you start leading and being out in front, hear me, you must be willing to be misunderstood. You know the hardest part of my job is I have to be misunderstood all of the time. Of course he hangs out with so-and-so. He's always with them. Of course he's there. Of course he said. Of course he posted. I have to constantly live a misunderstood life because you have no knowledge of why I spent so much time with that person, or I did this or didn't do that or wasn't there. You have to be willing to be misunderstood. And it's difficult because you want to find every one of them that said something. You have no idea why I skipped that meeting. Let God fight your battles. You pay attention to you and be willing to be misunderstood. You know what? Of course they're serving. Yeah, you have no idea why. Of course they're giving again. Of course they're at that meeting, getting there early and staying late. And of course they're there. And of course they posted. Yeah, when you start leading and getting out in front, you'll be misunderstood. And it is safer to stay in the palace. It is. But it's worth it to be in the mix, the mess. Because this is so good. Nehemiah thought his life was worth the wall. Do you know why he did it? He goes, because the wall is worth my life. Yeah, I could get attacked. That's why he asked the king for safety. That's why he asked the king for a note. Because it's not safe to leave the palace. It's not safe to get in the mixture. It's not safe to put yourself out there. It's not safe to serve like that. It's not safe to give your money away. It's not safe to have them sleep on your couch. It's not safe for them to have them over. It's not safe to lead this kind of life. But Nehemiah thought, the wall's worth my life. That's what my title today is, something worth building. I don't care what race you are, what gender you are, how much money you do or do not have. Every person in this room has thought at one moment in your life, I want my life to matter. I want to do something, especially us millennials. That's like the drive of millennials. I want to do something that matters, that makes a difference, that I see the difference. Well, guess what? The church of Jesus Christ is worth your life. It is worth your money. It's worth your gifting. It's worth your perspective. It's worth your time. It's worth your marriage. It's worth your kids. It is worth your life. And by the way, does this at all sound familiar? Of a man who is the right hand to the king of the kingdom and left his palace to cross the nation to rebuild a broken city. Sound familiar at all? Nehemiah is literally just a foreshadowing of the ultimate cupbearer. And the ultimate man that wouldn't cross the universe, he would cross every line of humanity to not just come here, but he came to make his life dangerous. The cross wasn't safe. Resurrection wasn't safe. Judas wasn't safe. The Pharisees weren't safe. But Jesus is the better Nehemiah. Why? Because you were worth it. You were worth the cross. You were worth the backstabbing. You were worth the pain. Jesus is Nehemiah. He left his cozy palace in heaven. He said, that city is worth being rebuilt. It's worth being misunderstood. Jesus, why did you have Judas? Us now. Why did you have Judas? You knew it. I don't know what time it is. I don't care. I'm the pastor. Do you know what Judas did? He stole money. Do you know what job Jesus gave him at his church? The treasurer. He gave him a shot to change what he knew he'd already do. If Judas was good enough for Jesus' team, and if Jesus is willing to take shots on Judas, who are we to say, not you, not them, you're not ready, I don't know about your character, I don't know what you're saying. If Judas was good enough for Jesus' 12, how much more should we be saying, welcome, join the team? For far too long has the church been known for what we're against. They're against gay people. they're against trans people. They're against that community. They're against the Democrats. They're against so-and-so. The church. What are we talking about? That is what we're known for? What we're against? Why don't we be known what we're for? We are for people. We are for every race. We are for every gender. Jesus is for you way more than he's against you. What are we doing down here? Yeah, we might have 3 things we're against, or that things we might not vote for, things we might not like, but we're for what? Much more than what we're against. What are we talking about? What do you know? I didn't vote. I don't care what you're against. We have much more in common than we do not. I pray to, I can't speak for any other church in this city, but as long as I'm the shepherd of this church, you better let it be known. We're going to be known for what we're for, who we're for, what we're standing for, not what we're standing against. You are going to know what we are for. Why? Because the church is worth my life. Yeah, he's a pastor. No, you as a Christian. Yeah, you as a senior pastor. No, you as a believer and a follower and a sanctified believer of Jesus, you should have the same perspective I should have. It's not a staff and member and preacher. This is a Christian talk. We don't need more popcorn, critics, bloggers, Webbers, Vebit. We don't need any of it. We need more people grabbing a bag saying, I'm here to serve. I'm here to love. I'm here to give. You know what I'm for. You know who I am. We need more. There's enough people with the popcorn bag. We don't need more of you. We need more of them. I know I'm getting passionate. I'm yelling. Some of you are like, this dude in his army jacket's like a general up there. I'm serious. I really do feel like a mandate from heaven to be a shepherd. I'm not necessarily being a leader or a preacher. Like, I am shepherding who God has given me. And I can't speak for any other church, but as long as I'm the pastor of Rose, my goal and my desire is to build an army of builders. Not staff people, not a leadership team, Christians, followers of Jesus that are like, I'm a builder. Hence the invitation, come build with us. Mom and dad, put your popcorn bag down. Grab another bag. College student, put your popcorn bag down. It's like we've been visiting for 4 months. Come on, we need you. I'm losing 5 pounds every minute up here. My wife's pumped. Point number 3, and I'm done. I need to get off this stage. There's a spot for you on the wall. Remember Nehemiah 3. So-and-so was next to so-and-so. So-and-so was next to so-and-so. It actually says they were shoulder to shoulder with. They were shoulder to what? Nehemiah 3 seems like a really long list of annoying details. It's actually not a list of annoying details. It's a list of sectors of society. You start reading into their family name, it's a perfume maker was next to a priest. And a priest was next to a merchant. And a merchant was next to a woman. And a woman was next to a man. And a child was next to a man. And a priest was next to a landowner. And a landowner was next to a servant. And a servant was next to a master. You start going down the list. It's not a list of details. It's a list of people that said, I am shoulder to shoulder. I'm not what we're against, what we're not for. Let me get on a wall with you. And now we have something we are for. I'm for this wall. I'm for rebuilding it. And a priest is right next to a servant. Let me translate it this way. Black people serving next to white people. Rich people serving next to poor people. Perfect people next to imperfect people. Democrats next to Republicans. College students next to the married people who have been married for 70 years. This side of the tracks, that side of the tracks. Could you imagine a kingdom unlike that kingdom, unlike that city, that every race, every creed, every tongue, every sector of society is shoulder by shoulder. I'm working where you're working. I'm not against you, I am for you. And we're on this wall together, shoulder by shoulder. Could you imagine what we could get done in this city, in these streets that need help? Could you even fathom an army of Christians, not leaders, not pastors, not deacons, not elders, Christians? This isn't just like Christian, right? Like all you business people. If you had every employee act like a manager, not an employee, you would take it. It's not. This isn't just a church thing. When employees start acting like managers, the business gets better. I'm just applying it to this. When people start becoming bought-in Christians. I'll end here. He comes to the king and says, let me go. And he says this phrase, if I have pleased you. He doesn't say, God has let me go. God has told me you better say yes. He goes, if I've been a good worker. Some of you need to stop praying for favor at your job. Start showing up on time. Take a shower. Brush your teeth. Put your clothes on. Work harder. Get off social media. Do your jobs on time. That God is praying for favor. He said, if I've pleased you. 4 months earlier, he's weeping. He has this heart to go for 4 months. What kind of person has his feet here but his heart there? No, that's a worker. I know my heart is in that job, my heart is in that career, my heart is in over there, my heart is in that school, but my feet are here. And I know my heart is over there, but as long as my feet are here, I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna be diligent, and when that door opens, my boss is gonna say, go on your way. You've been the best worker in the world. You've been so faithful. You've had the best attitude. You wanna go for that job? Go for it. Favor follows faithfulness. Too many of us are praying for favor. Start praying for discipline. And watch doors, watch kings going, here's money, here's a letter, here, go ahead, do what you want, Nehemiah. Go ahead, come back. And a non-Christian king. King Artaxerxes is not a Christian. But because of Nehemiah's work ethic, go on your way, Nehemiah. I'll give you favor, I'll give you money, I'll give you a letter. Come back when you want to come back, because I have found favor in you. Come on, stand to our feet, church. We're going to worship today. And I know what you're going through.